You probably remember it a lot like we do. The doors closed, and we put on our masks. But adapting to COVID-19 wasn't enough. We wanted to learn how to thrive. Here's how we did it.
In my headspace, computer science really bridges the gap between virtual learning and face-to-face learning. The pandemic changed so many things for us, and for some of the things that I do, especially the hands-on projects, it was difficult for us to bridge those gaps. So we had to come up with some solutions.
I was very concerned about finals and hands-on projects in Josh Montgomery's computer classes, how we were going to finish when those were our capstones and the key to my graduation personally. Josh was able to open up the lab a little bit here and there so we could come in and collect our individual projects, bring them home, do work.
I found myself delivering 3D printed parts, 3D printed equipment, robotic pieces to people's homes. They come pick stuff up and take them out of buildings. We had to come up with a lot of options to be really creative, where I normally wouldn't do that. I wouldn't take a $3,000 robot and send it home with a student or whatever the case may be, but to finish the project, we really just had to.
But just helping students wasn't enough for Josh. He wanted to help his community too.
Boom, we get the call, we can't go in the buildings anymore, right? Pandemic happened. Didn't know what to do with myself, really, when it came right down to it. Several organizations in the United States and I think in Europe built 3D printed face shields that you could make and mass produce. And I started to make a couple for the Highland District Hospital just to see if that's something they would like to have. I got a message from my good friend over at Greenfield Schools, Nate Luke, who's like, hey, I'm making a couple of these for the hospital here in Greenfield. I'm like, oh my God, we need to come together. I wonder how many other people need this. I had some emails and messages and letters from different nurses and doctors that literally said, you saved my life, I didn't have anything.
Those gaps between virtual learning and face-to-face learning grew wider by the day. There was no choice but to act.
So many students and even staff members live in rural parts of Appalachian in our communities, and you don't have access to internet in the same way that other people do. And so in addressing this problem of people just completely being cut off to that, not only in their jobs, but in their education, it's like, how do we fix this issue?
So we had 50 hotspots and 30 laptops. In the fall, they were all completely checked out, nearly all checked out in the spring.
These devices allowed people to get their own devices and their own laptops in place.
It's important just to be able to keep students connected. Everything seems to be online nowadays, and being able to provide that service to them made this service important.
Nothing is ever going to be the same after this. The library had to change the way that it helped people during the pandemic, but now we recognize that education is going to be different, and we just have to change the way that we function.
Everything did change. Every department had to learn how to adapt. Every department had to learn how to thrive.
We realized right away that we weren't going to be able to have face-to-face labs, or it was going to be very convoluted if we did. So we went through all of our labs that we do for the whole year and said, how could we modify these so the students could do it at home? And there's two things. You have the chemicals, but you also need all these skills, lab skills, that you want them to get from doing the experiment. So we went through and we said, it's remarkable. We're able to do most of these labs with regular household chemicals. I was really shocked. So we found out that the COVID funds, we could use those to set up these kits.
Beakers, test tubes, and electronics. Dawn Storer's bins were filled with everything students needed to learn chemistry in the comfort and safety of their own homes.
Now the funny part about all this is I swore I'd never teach online. After I was faced with the fact that I don't have another choice, then the best thing is embrace it, go for it, make it really good. 99% of these, they're actually making the measurements just like they did here in the lab where we are now.
Meanwhile, we had to find a way to not just keep campuses open, but keep them safe.
It came up to me through the HR department here at Southern State that they wanted someone to actually coordinate the COVID-19 activities. And the premise of all of it was to COVID-proof the next semester. COVID proofing meant that the campus would stay open and the students would be able to continue learning here at Southern State to achieve their academic endeavors.
My mom kind of nudged me to join PTK, which is the Honor Society at the college, actually launch and kind of head the Health Ambassador Project, which was a movement to keep the campus open during the pandemic. And it was a heavy load. I was always busy doing things, going to campuses, doing homework, doing projects. I definitely couldn't have done it by myself.
I started working with the Health Ambassador Program. Basically, I try to inform people about wearing masks, social distancing. I make sure masks are available.
Everybody's very, very friendly and very welcoming. They're very understanding with this whole pandemic. So, if they forget to wear a mask and you ask them, like, would you please wear it? They're like, oh yes, I will. Like, I'm sorry, I forgot. Like,
the collaborative efforts of the team came into this united front. As a PTK advisor, I knew that we also needed to do a college project for the first time. And we talked about how could we make this Health Ambassador project really get some traction. These students actually made history this year.
So this was the new normal. Not just scrambling to adapt, but mobilizing to help the community.
There was some panic, I guess, in the beginning because we just didn't know. But as nurses, we come from a background that we experienced some of these things. As a team of nursing educators, I guess, we reviewed the immediate needs for the students. And not only did we utilize different technology, certainly to provide that, but we had to spend some time in reviewing the learning experiences to identify what strategies could help those individuals, really the students, learn the knowledge and the skill and the attitudes to use in their professional roles.
So in March, I was accepted into the Southern State Nursing Program, and the thing that makes me most appreciative for going to Southern State is we've got to do all of our clinicals in person, where there are big schools in the city right now that haven't done clinicals this year because there isn't a place. So I feel like Southern State has done their very best to make sure that they're giving the world adequate nursing students.
for nursing as a career, I just really like to help people, and I like that fast-paced work environment. As far as Southern State, I was interested in other colleges, but with how local it is, it's not far from home, it's affordable, just kind of sold me to come here because it just felt like where I needed to go almost. Everything was just kind of lining up and everybody was so nice, and now I'm here a year and a half in.
The pandemic, everything overall has, I think, united the healthcare providers in our communities that we serve. Initially, we were called, even by the governor, to share our personal protective equipment. And then as it rolled on, we have learned so much about healthcare today. Our students have had a wonderful opportunity to learn about public health nursing, as well as to understand the multiple impact of the pandemic on our communities as well. As the vaccine become available, we certainly were able to be more hands-on with the public.
We've been working with the Highland County Health Department to give vaccines. So the last time I was at the health department, I think we gave roughly 700 shots that day. I feel blessed to be at Southern State because they have tried so hard to keep the doors open, and they've just made it a safer environment. And I feel like as a health ambassador, I've greatly helped with that.
And it's been a really good experience for us all.
It really spurred us on to do more and be more.
And I'm always trying to make a positive impact to my community and make my community college be viewed as a community asset.
So we have moved from that initial idea of how do we just keep up with all the changes to how do we be the change.
And we're not alone. Community colleges throughout Appalachia hold the same values: self-reliance, the ability to learn, to grow, to accept what you have and make it better. Maybe that's what it means to thrive.